Messi came off the bench against Iceland, scored, and told reporters he felt great. So the hamstring watch we've been on all week just got its answer. This is Inter Miami Daily. We've got the club's own injury update on the record, the international duty roundup on who went where, and a Chicago match on July 22nd to count back from.
He scored and said he's savoring every moment of the World Cup defense. And this is the guy who was clutching his thigh in May. I'm leading with joy today, Kirk.
You've earned it. Let's start with the source that matters here, Inter Miami's own injury page, with the club going on record. Trace the arc. He comes off in the 72nd minute against Philly on May 25th, clutching the upper left thigh. Now he scores off the bench and says he felt great per FOTMob. That's a clean progression, not a hedge.
And it's him saying it on camera, not a coaching staff giving us much better. That's the difference between a read and a real answer. But savoring every moment is a legacy quote, not a health quote. To me, that means Argentina manages his minutes carefully from here to the Algeria opener. And it affects what Miami gets back on July 22nd.
Now run the return math on the roundup. 8 players on call-up duty. Chicago on July 22nd is still the first game back. So now it's about who reports to training and when.
Wait, 8? On the 10th, we were saying 9 players were gone. If it's 8 confirmed, somebody's count was off. And I want to know which name moved.
8 is the list the club put its name to. The 9th was an estimate. The roundup wins.
Is Dane St. Clair among the 8? Because if he is, we finally have a duration on Miami's number 1 absence, instead of a projection I keep flagging.
He's on the list. And the St. Clair minutes management story has been underreported. That's the goalkeeper lane that deserves air now.
Here's what keeps me honest, though. The last MLS result was a 6-4 win over a 1-10-4 side. We outscored them, sure, but the back line shipped 4 to the worst team in the league.
They outscored Philadelphia, per the South Florida coverage. The win flatters a defense that was basically surviving on improvisation.
And now the guys who held that together are scattered across national teams for 6 weeks. So yeah, joy on Messi, but the defense gives me something very specific to chew on. One more sharp edge. Messi's playing tournament football on a still unsigned deal. When a club watches its DP do that, the timeline gets very real, and savoring every moment only makes it louder.
Healthy Messi, World Cup mode, open contract. That's the picture after the window. The injury concern has eased. The DP slot question is the next file. From Inter Miami CF.
Inter Miami CF has provided an injury update presented by Baptist Health for Leo Messi. Inter Miami CF's captain had to leave the field yesterday, Sunday, May 24, during the match against Philadelphia Union due to physical discomfort.
Inter Miami's own injury page is the source here. The club on record, not a wire filter. Messi left the Philly match May 24 with physical discomfort. Had tests Monday, and that's the document that's been hanging over us all week.
And the answer landed cleanly. He came off clutching that upper left thigh against Philly, and we spent 3 episodes white-knuckling the timeline.
Right, and you can trace the progression by the day. Off in the 72nd against Philly, then off the bench against Iceland, scores, says he felt great. That closes the severity question with some authority.
He scored. From hamstring watch to a goal off the bench in, 3 weeks? Scaloni managed that return exactly how he projected it.
Here's FOTMob.
The 8-time Ballon d'Or winner started on the bench, having been out of action since suffering a muscle injury while representing Inter Miami in MLS last month. But within 118 seconds of coming on, Messi played Lautaro Martinez through to draw a foul from Elias Olofsson, then smashed the resulting spot kick into the top right corner.
He comes off the bench, and 118 seconds later, he's burying a penalty he helped create, feeding Lautaro through to win the foul. 3 weeks ago, we were watching him clutch his thigh against Philly.
And that's the update on the hamstring watch we'd been hedging on. Off Argentina's bench, scored, said he felt great before the opener. After the club's own injury page we just hit, the player on camera is about as clean as confirmation gets. Out since the muscle issue last month, back on the pitch with a goal, second win from 2 warm-ups. That's real progress from the 72nd minute sub on May 25th to this.
And the quote isn't just a fitness check, savoring every moment. The man who was a hamstring watch is now talking about a 6th World Cup like it's legacy. That changes how carefully Argentina and Miami split his minutes from here.
From Gianpablo Polito at Inter Miami CF.
Argentina then capped off the window with a 3-0 win over Iceland at Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama. Messi converted a penalty in the 72nd minute for his 117th career goal with Argentina, becoming the oldest player to score for La Albiceleste, while DePaul provided the assist for Argentina's 3rd and final goal of the evening.
The club's international duty roundup gives us the number we've been guessing at all week. 8 players, not 9, out on duty this window. Straight from InterMiamiCF.com, Gianpablo Polito's recap.
8 confirmed. See, that's the detail I wanted. We floated 9 on Tuesday, and now there's a named list. Somebody got miscounted, and I want to know who.
Messi and DePaul both featured for Argentina. We just walked through the Iceland goal from Fatmob, the 72nd minute penalty, his 117th. DePaul assisted the 3rd. In the Honduras game, Messi sat and DePaul came on at the half.
And DePaul setting up the 3rd in Auburn. That's the engine running again. Both of Miami's Argentines have some rhythm heading into a World Cup. After the week we had watching that hamstring, I'll take it.
Messi's back on the injury report after coming off against Philly. And with the World Cup just weeks out, how do we tell if Miami's treating this as routine minutes management or if it's a real hamstring concern that changes the whole summer calculus?
Yeah, and that distinction really matters. The timeline gives us something concrete. Weon and Sportstar reported that the issue against Philadelphia Union on May 25th was diagnosed as a left hamstring overload. So we're past the vague muscular discomfort club language. They named the structure and the mechanism. He was grabbing at that upper thigh before asking off in the 73rd minute, with Argentina's World Cup prep camp in Kansas City less than a week away. The good news, as of June 6th, is News 18 had Scaloni saying Messi had resumed partial training with Argentina and could feature in one of the final warm-ups before the opener. It's movement the right way. And Miami's choices make more sense with Mascherano's March comments in mind. Per beIN Sports, he said rest and rotation are non-negotiable because they're trying to defend the MLS Cup and make a real CONCACAF Champions Cup run. A managed sub around 72 minutes in a 6-4 win fits that policy. A hamstring overload that takes weeks of partial training is where it gets more serious.
So if Scaloni gets him into a warm-up before the World Cup, does that tell us anything useful about his availability for Miami when MLS resumes? Or are those timelines basically separate now?
Mostly separate, honestly. Argentina's medical staff will clear him for what they need in the tournament, and Miami gets him back in whatever shape that leaves him. On the club side, watch whether Mascherano's rotation policy, the one he already spelled out per beIN Sports, gets even more conservative after the World Cup. A hamstring overload at 38, with heavy minutes already in his legs this season, is exactly why teams manage minutes. The real readout in July is the sub window and whether he travels for road games. This one's from South Florida sports coverage.
Inter Miami CF outpowered the Philadelphia Union 6-4 on Sunday night at New Stadium. The Herons played their final game before the 2026 World Cup break and will not participate in a contest again until July 22. The Union have the worst record in Major League Soccer.
6-4! And I mean, yes, that's a win.
But they spotted the worst team in the league, a 2-0 lead in 10 minutes, and were down 4-3 at one point against a 1-10-4 side.
Iloski had a hat trick before halftime against you. That's the kind of stat line that makes a win feel like a confession.
Messi assisting Berterame twice, Suarez with a brace. The attack was electric. But the back line gave up 4 to Philadelphia, and now the guys holding it together are scattered across national teams for 6 weeks.
And per South Florida sports coverage, that was the last competitive match until July 22. So whatever the defense looked like Sunday, that image just sits there for 2 months.
2 months to stew on a 4-4 first half. That's cruel.
If you like staying close to a club every day, try Angel City Daily Podcast, a daily ACFC supporter briefing with match reaction, NWSL standings, roster moves, women's soccer in Los Angeles, and supporter buzz. Find it wherever you listen to podcasts. You'll find links to every story we touched on today in the show notes. So if something caught your ear, it's all there for a closer read. That's Inter Miami Daily Podcast for today. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back next time. This is a Lantern Podcast.